It just shows you the level of the relationship between these so-called celebrities. Everything in the end comes down to money and mutual appreciation and mutual back-scratching.
What can we read into the fact that David Beckham, no longer friends with Harry and Meghan, has now aligned himself with the King? Is that the direction of travel for other superstars, not just superstars, but kind of world leaders or movers and shakers in the world? Is that where other people will start heading?
Well, not start, they always have. I mean, to appear in a photograph with the King has always been a sort of a big plus sign. And of course, for Beckham, who is desperate always to get his knighthood and be part of the establishment, the photograph of him with the King was worth a lot. I mean, I wouldn't put it as much as friendship. I think there's a mutual interest in all this. I think the King will find Beckham not the greatest ally. He won't get him any money. But on the other hand, for Beckham, it looks good because he's standing next to the King. But then many people stand next to the King. So I don't think it's anything remarkable at all.
Oh, well, they bonded over honey, apparently.
Well, the newspapers say that. You know, they can bond over honey. But, you know, Charles by now and his officials know exactly the value of a photograph, and it didn't damage either of them. But it's not, in my view, it's a sensational development.
But there is a kind of movement, this is what I'm getting at, of people either being snubbed by the Sussexes or moving away from the Sussexes.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt at all that the Sussexes have alienated huge numbers of people, not only in Britain, especially in Britain, but also now in California. I mean, the whole point is that they suck. They suck from people. They want to be aligned with famous people to improve their own status. And they're finding more and more people moving away from them. Because in America, they're far, far more transactional than in Britain. You know, what do I get by being next to Meghan and Harry? Well, right now, if you're an American, you get very little by being next to two people who are the subjects of so much criticism.
When the cameras flash, Harry and Meghan don't hide. They perform. Another day, another headline, and somehow it's always about them. Tom Bauer is right. Harry and Meghan will always hog the limelight. Their so-called paparazzi chase drama was the latest proof. And it exposed exactly who they've become. It was supposed to be terrifying, a near-catastrophic car chase through New York. But within hours, the story unraveled. Witnesses said traffic was calm. Police called it exaggerated. Even taxi drivers contradicted the Sussexes' narrative. So what was it really? Another moment to play the victims. Another chance to grab the spotlight when it wasn't theirs to take. Because let's be honest, the timing was impeccable. Meghan had just accepted an award. Cameras were rolling. Public sympathy? Up for grabs. Coincidence? Please. Tom Bauer didn't mince words. He said the pap chase was pure theater, a PR stunt gone wrong. And whether you agree or not, the facts speak for themselves. Bauer argues that Meghan and Harry crave the fame they claim to despise. They want privacy but on their own terms, the red carpet version. They flee the spotlight only to drag it back with them wherever they go.
Well, I think we discussed this the other week with on a previous show where I think it was Mary Tillman, the mother of the NFL and the war hero. Harry picked up the award where she called him a divisive and controversial figure. And I feel that phrase, along with effing grifters, are things that are currently associated to Harry and Meghan that are going to stick around. They are divisive figures. You know, they are controversial figures, and that's a problem that they will need to solve.
Well, I think they can solve it. I mean, in the momentum is either up or down. If they disappear entirely from view, they lose credibility, lose value, lose worth. And if they're in public view, like the Tillman Award or other awards that she has received, or their ridiculous trip to New York when they were claimed to be chased by the paparazzi, they can only lose. And the trouble with the Sussex is they are losers. Now, there are people who don't have credibility. There are people in the end who suffer from being worthless. What do they contribute to society? That is their problem. And they're constantly seeking a role. But in my view, they're going to find it very, very difficult till I write the second volume called Downfall.
Well, on that note, we should stop speaking about the Sussexes. But I just want to wish Thomas Markle, obviously, we wish him a happy
Absolutely.
birthday and wish him the
Absolutely.
best of health.
Exactly.
80 years old, it's quite remarkable. Going through a similar health scare, or going through a health scare just like the King of England is. So we wish them, and the Princess of Wales, we always wish them the best of health. Right, to finish off, we have our quick-fire questions.
Yeah.
OK, are you ready?
Yes, indeed.
OK, first one. If you could sit down and interview Harry and Meghan, what would be your first question?
Why were you so treacherous?
Do you think they'd answer?
Well, I demand an answer.
We may have touched on this earlier, but where do you see Harry and Meghan in 10 years' time?
I think struggling for survival financially and reputationally. It'll be getting worse all the time. In 10 years' time, I think they'll be hitting a nadir.
Will we be still talking about them?
We will, because they will always push themselves into the public view, into the media, because that'll be their only oxygen of survival.
Okay.
And honestly, he's not wrong. Every appearance, every statement, every photo feels scripted. Meghan isn't reacting, she's directing. From her body language to the headlines that follow, it's clear. She's managing the brand, not living the moment. And Harry? He's caught in the middle, torn between protecting his wife and preserving what's left of his credibility. But every stunt like this drags him further into ridicule. He's become the co-star in a show he doesn't even write anymore. When you chase fame, fame always chases back, and that's the tragedy here. The Sussexes built an empire on exposure. But exposure burns. And now, even their fans are starting to question what's real and what's staged. Royal insiders say the palace barely reacts anymore. They've seen the pattern. Every event becomes a headline, every misstep becomes a photo op. And as Tom Bower put it, they can't live without the spotlight, even if it destroys them.
Who do you believe has been the most damaging figure to the royal family's reputation?
Well, it's got to be Meghan and Harry, nobody else.
Okay.
And Prince Andrew.
Well, how do you assess Prince Andrew's current position within the royal family?
Dire. I mean, a real problem, and he should be invisible. And I think I blame the King for not having been far, far more authoritarian, ordering Prince Andrew to stay out of public view. I mean, when he appeared for that memorial service right in the front row, that was a catastrophic mistake.
Well, again, they're family members. They're brothers. They have relationships, that we don't maybe understand.
But in the end, the problem with Charles is that he doesn't have the very best staff around him who are absolutely determined to say sometimes no. Because Charles, as I showed in my book, always fires people who say no. He wants people who are yes men around him. And his staff should have said to Andrew, back of the queue. You're not going to stand in the front.
Well, I may have said this before, but I was there and Andrew came bowling down the hill and we said, why is Andrew at the front? And they said, oh, he's actually at the back. Because the royal protocol is that the senior royals appear at the back. But it doesn't take a genius to, it's a terrible look.
Well, he pushed himself to the front with a wife, ex-wife, who equally rather pushy.
Which royal family member do you think is the most misunderstood by the public?
Well, most misunderstood is probably Princess Anne in the sense that she is a rock. And I think people appreciate her a lot. But I think she deserves greater understanding.
Okay, we may have touched on this, but do you think Harry will ever be back?
No, I don't. I think Harry has made himself, for the King, an outcast. And I'm certain that William, his brother, will never forgive him.
And which member of the royal family do you think handles public scrutiny the best?
Well, Anne, I think she's done brilliantly. I mean, she had a controversial life often, but she has handled it by her hard work and her solid behaviour and an unbelievable generosity and all the rest. So I think Anne is sort of a beacon of greatness for the royal family.
I've got one more that's not on my list that I just want to throw you away. Which member of the royal family who you haven't written an in-depth biography or book about would you want to?
Well, my problem with that is I only write about living people, but if it was a dead person, it would be Prince Philip, because I do think that the truth about Philip has eluded most biographers, because they've all been far too syrupy, and there's a truth about Philip. But I suppose if there's one more to write, it would be about King Charles. In 3 or 4 years' time, his reign, I mean, so far glowing and all the rest of it, but what has actually happened over the last years since he was crowned in the first 4 years will be fascinating, because he, in the end, has had to cope with huge problems, not least the changing of the prime ministers and governments and the mood of Britain. And I'll be interested to see how he manages that.
Okay, well, I look forward to reading both of those, okay? So tell me when you do. Thank you so much for coming on. Fantastic stories, great opinions, and I've really enjoyed having you. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
So thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates.
The pap chase wasn't just a PR misfire. It was a glimpse into the chaos of a couple trapped by their own narrative. The more they demand control, the less believable they become. And as the world grows weary of their constant drama, one truth remains clear: Harry and Meghan don't need enemies. Their own obsession with the limelight will do the damage for them. Tom Bower said it best: they'll always chase the cameras because without the attention they vanish. And for Meghan and Harry, that's the one thing they can't stand: being ignored. Do you think the Sussexes staged the pap chase? Or are they victims of their own making? Let me know your thoughts below. Subscribe for more raw royal commentary, unfiltered truth bombs, and breakdowns of every royal controversy shaking the crown.